Every night she knelt there, facing the wall, starving, waiting for a place at the table that was never meant for her. But tonight something changed. Her stepmother thought she was invisible, but when her father walked through that door, he would see everything. Emma Harrison stood in the doorway of the dining room, her small hands gripping the frame. The chandelier above the table hummed its familiar electric song, casting warm golden light across polished mahogany. 8 place settings, silver forks aligned with geometric precision, water glasses filled exactly 3/4 full, napkins folded into perfect triangles. 7 people sat down. The 8th chair, her chair, the small one that usually sat between her stepbrother Ethan and her stepsister Claire, had vanished. Not pushed back against the wall, not moved to another room, simply gone as if it had never existed at all. Emma counted the empty space where it should have been. 1, 2, 3 seconds of staring before her brain accepted the reality. Stop right there. Victoria Sterling Harrison did not turn around when she spoke. She was adjusting a fork, moving it a fraction of an inch to the left. The picture of calm precision. Her voice carried no anger. It did not need to. "You will eat later," Victoria said. "Family dinner is for those who know how to behave." Emma's hands curled slowly into the hem of her navy blue sweater. She was 8 years old, too young to argue, old enough to understand what exclusion felt like when it landed without explanation. "I was quiet today," Emma said, barely above a whisper. Victoria finally looked at her then, not with cruelty, not with warmth, but with the practiced neutrality of someone correcting a mistake. "Quiet does not mean respectful," she replied. "Go." She placed a small plate into Emma's hands. 1 piece of bread, a thin smear of something pale across it. Butter maybe, or margarine. Not enough to drop crumbs, not enough to stain the carpet. "Kitchen steps," the woman added, "and do not come back in here." Emma turned away before anyone else could notice her. She moved carefully, as if sound itself might earn her punishment. The laughter behind her grew louder as she crossed the hallway. Someone pulled out a chair. Someone else raised a glass. No one asked where she went. She sat on the bottom step of the kitchen staircase, knees tucked close to her chest, plate balanced on her lap. The overhead light had been turned off. Only the faint glow from the dining room reached her. Warm, golden, unreachable. She counted the bites before taking the first one. 1, 2, 3. Eat slow. Make it last. Her ears strained toward the sound of voices drifting through the vents. Victoria's laugh floated above the rest. Light, musical, practiced, compliments followed it. Praise for the house, the food, the way everything looked so perfect. Emma chewed carefully, swallowing before the tears could rise. Crying made things worse. Crying turned into attitude. She had learned that early. She glanced toward the doorway. From where she sat, she could see the edge of the dining room table. The white tablecloth, the legs of chairs, shoes shifting beneath them, a napkin falling to the floor and being picked up again. She could also see the empty space where her chair should have been. It was a small thing, a gap most people would not notice, but to her it felt enormous, like proof that she did not belong in the picture everyone else was admiring. Her bread was gone too soon. She licked the faint taste from her fingers, then folded the napkin carefully and tucked it into her pocket. Later she would hide it under her pillow. Later she might need it. The laughter swelled again. Someone mentioned how well the household ran, how disciplined children needed to be these days. Victoria agreed, nodding as though the thought had been waiting just for her. "Yes," she said, "they need to learn their place." Emma flinched even from the hallway. She leaned her head back against the wall and closed her eyes. She imagined the chair pulled out again, imagined climbing into it, imagined her feet not quite reaching the floor the way they used to. But imagination was dangerous. It made reality hurt more when it returned. So instead, she whispered the numbers again. Counted the seconds between voices, between bites she no longer had. When the dining room door closed partway, shutting her out completely, the silence pressed in. She did not move. She did not speak. She just sat there in the dark, listening to a family eat dinner without her, wondering how many nights it would take before the chair stopped feeling like it had ever been hers at all. And upstairs, unseen, the smallest place at the table remained empty, waiting for someone who had not yet noticed she was missing. 6 months ago, Anna Harrison had kissed her daughter goodnight for the last time. The accident happened on Route 95 just outside Stamford. A truck driver fell asleep at the wheel. The impact was instant. The funeral was 3 days later. Emma remembered her mother's last words. "Count your blessings, sweetheart." So Emma counted. She counted steps from her bedroom to the bathroom. 23. She counted tiles on the kitchen floor. 147. She counted seconds between heartbeats when she held her breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting was control. Counting meant the world still made sense, even when nothing else did. Now, sitting on the cold kitchen stairs, she divided her piece of bread into 12 tiny fragments. One piece for each minute she would allow herself to eat. If she ate slowly enough, maybe the hunger would not hurt so much. The first piece dissolved on her tongue. Dry, tasteless, but it was something. She chewed 40 times before swallowing. Another rule she had invented for herself. 40 chews meant the food lasted longer, meant her stomach might believe it was getting more than it actually was. Through the walls, she could hear Victoria's voice rising and falling like music. The guests were laughing. Glasses clinked. Plates scraped. The sounds of people who belonged. Emma tucked 2 pieces of bread into her sweater pocket. For later. Later was a concept she clung to. Later meant hope. Later meant maybe tomorrow would be different. It never was. She remembered dinners from before, when her mother was alive, when the table was smaller but felt bigger, when laughter meant joy instead of exclusion. Her mother used to let her help cook, taught her to crack eggs without getting shells in the bowl, let her lick the spoon when they made cookies. Victoria did not allow Emma in the kitchen when she cooked. Too much risk of mistakes, too much opportunity for mess. Emma pressed her back against the wall and let her eyes drift closed. In the darkness behind her eyelids, she could almost see her mother. Anna Harrison had brown eyes that crinkled when she smiled. Hands that were always warm. A voice that never needed to be loud to be heard. "Count your blessings, baby girl," Emma whispered into the empty stairwell. 1. Mama loved me. 2. Daddy used to read me stories. 3. I had a chair at the table once. She stopped at 3. It was getting harder to remember blessings that still existed in the present tense. The dining room erupted in laughter again. Someone told a joke. Victoria's voice carried over the rest. "That is hilarious," she said in that practiced way she had. Everything Victoria did was practiced, rehearsed, perfect. Emma opened her eyes and looked down at the remaining pieces of bread in her hand. 10 left, 10 minutes of eating, 10 minutes before she had nothing. She took the second piece and placed it on her tongue, chewed, counted, swallowed. Her stomach growled, a low, hollow sound that echoed in the empty stairwell. She pressed her hand against it, willing it to be quiet. Hunger was weakness. Weakness was something Victoria noticed. Emma had learned to make herself small, quiet, invisible. It was the only way to avoid punishment, the only way to survive in a house where the rules changed every day. She finished the 8th piece of bread and tucked the remaining 4 into her other pocket. Balance. Always balance. Save something for later, for the night when there might be nothing at all. Footsteps approached from the dining room. Emma froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She held her breath, counted the seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. The footsteps passed, headed toward the powder room. The door closed. The lock clicked. Emma exhaled. 5, 6, 7, 8. She was safe. For now, she stood slowly, careful not to let the stairs creak beneath her weight. 23 steps from here to her bedroom. 23 steps to safety, to the place where she could hide the bread, where she could count the cracks in the ceiling. where she could pretend to disappear. She climbed the stairs in darkness, each step deliberate, each movement calculated to avoid sound. At the top, she paused, listened. The dinner party continued below. Laughter, conversation, the clinking of silverware, the sound of people who had earned their place at the table. Emma turned down the hallway. Her bedroom door was open, exactly as she had left it. Victoria insisted on open doors. Privacy was a privilege. Privileges had to be earned. She went to her bed, lifted the pillow, pulled out a napkin she had hidden there 3 days ago, unfolded it carefully. 7 pieces of bread, dried and hard, her emergency supply. She added the 4 pieces from her pocket. 11 total. She counted them twice, to be sure. 11 pieces of bread, 11 potential meals, 11 reminders that she still existed, even when the chair was gone. Emma refolded the napkin, tucked it back under the pillow, smoothed the bedspread until there was no evidence of disturbance. She lay down on top of the covers, still dressed, and stared at the ceiling. Started counting the cracks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere around 47, she stopped hearing the laughter from downstairs. Somewhere around 89, she stopped feeling hungry. Somewhere past 100, she stopped feeling anything at all. Monday. Emma woke at 6:15. The house was still dark. She dressed in the same navy sweater and gray pants she had worn the day before. Victoria had not given her access to the laundry. Dirty clothes were a sign of carelessness. Clean clothes had to be earned. She made her bed, hospital corners, pillow-centered, blanket smooth, no wrinkles. Downstairs, she found the list. Victoria left lists every morning on the kitchen counter. Handwritten in perfect cursive. Tasks for the day, chores, expectations. The list changed every 24 hours. Today's list had 47 items. Dust the living room baseboards, clean the guest bathroom mirror, organize the pantry by expiration date. Vacuum the stairs, fold the towels in the linen closet, polish the silverware, water the plants, sweep the front porch, clean the windows in the sunroom. The list went on and on and on. Emma read it 3 times, memorized it, took the list to her room and hid it in her desk drawer with the others. Evidence. Proof. Though she did not yet know what she would do with it. She started with the baseboards, got down on her hands and knees with a damp cloth, wiped every inch of white-painted wood in the living room. It took an hour. Her knees ached by the time she finished. Victoria appeared at 8:30, already dressed, hair perfect, makeup flawless. She walked past Emma without speaking, inspected the baseboards, ran a finger along the edge where the wall met the floor. Examined her fingertip in the morning light. "Too slow," Victoria said. "You should have finished this in 30 minutes. Emma said nothing. Apologies made things worse. Victoria walked away. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor. Precise, measured, a metronome of disappointment. Tuesday. The list had 52 items. Emma worked from 6:30 until 9 at night. Missed lunch. Missed dinner. Finished everything on the list. Victoria inspected her work at 9:15. "The windows have streaks," she said. "Do them again." But Emma had already used all the window cleaner. The bottle was empty. She had checked twice. "There is more in the garage," Victoria said. "Find it." Emma went to the garage, searched for 20 minutes. There was no window cleaner. She went back inside. "I could not find it," Emma said quietly. Victoria's face remained neutral. "Then you will have to use water. But you have lost the privilege of breakfast tomorrow. Resourcefulness is something you clearly need to learn." Wednesday. Emma was too quiet during homeschool lessons. Victoria taught her in the dining room every morning. Math, reading, history, lessons that felt more like interrogations. "Why are you so withdrawn?" Victoria asked. "Do you have something to say?" "No, ma'am," Emma replied. "Then your silence is disrespectful. Eye contact shows engagement. Look at me when I speak to you." Emma looked up, met Victoria's gaze, held it for 3 seconds. 4, 5. "Stop staring," Victoria said. "It is challenging, aggressive. Look down." Emma looked down. "Not at the floor, at your book. Show me you are paying attention." Emma looked at the book. Read the same sentence 5 times without comprehending a single word. That night, she knelt facing the wall in the corner of the dining room for 2 hours. Punishment for disrespect. Her knees throbbed, her back cramped, but she did not move. Movement would add another hour. Thursday. Emma was too eager. She finished the list by 2 in the afternoon, 49 items completed. She went to find Victoria to report her progress. "You are rushing," Victoria said. "Rushing means carelessness. Carelessness means you do not value quality. You will redo everything and you have lost dinner tonight." Emma went back to the beginning, started again, dusted the baseboards she had already dusted, cleaned the mirrors she had already cleaned, folded the towels she had already folded. She finished at 11 at night, went to bed without eating. Again, Friday, the chair disappeared. Emma understood now. There was no right answer, no correct behavior, no amount of effort that would ever be enough. The rules shifted like sand beneath her feet. She could never find solid ground, could never predict what would earn approval and what would earn punishment. Too quiet, too loud, too slow, too fast, too withdrawn, too eager, too much eye contact, not enough, too many questions, not enough initiative. The criticism changed shape every day, but the outcome was always the same. Punishment, isolation, hunger. Victoria kept a small leather notebook in her pocket. Emma had seen her writing in it, recording observations, tracking infractions, building a case against an 8-year-old child who had committed no crime except existing in a space where she was not wanted. Emma stopped trying to understand. She simply tried to survive. She learned to move through the house like a ghost, to make no sound, to take up no space, to need nothing, to want nothing, to be nothing. Maybe that was what Victoria wanted all along, not a perfect child, but no child at all. Just an absence where Emma used to be. Friday. The chair disappeared, but that was not all Emma noticed. Claire's chair had been moved, closer to Victoria, the second best seat at the table, right beside the head, where Anna used to sit. Claire was 10 years old, blonde like her mother, blue eyes that had never known hunger, never known punishment, never known the shifting rules. Emma watched from the kitchen stairs as Victoria served Claire first, the largest portion, the best cut of meat, a smile that never appeared for anyone else. Claire laughed at something Victoria said, reached for a second roll without asking, took it, no consequence, no lecture about earning things, no entry in the notebook. Victoria just smiled, brushed a strand of hair from Claire's face, a gesture of affection so casual it made Emma's chest ache. That was the difference. Claire did not have to earn love. She simply received it, freely, abundantly, without conditions. Emma looked down at her piece of bread, counted the bites she had left. 4. Claire had a full plate, seconds waiting, dessert promised. Emma had 4 bites and the knowledge that some children were born deserving, and others had to prove it every day. Maria Santos had worked for the Harrison family for 15 years. She had been there when David brought his first wife home. There when Emma was born. There through the cancer scare that turned out to be nothing. There through the good years and the hard years and everything in between. She had been there the day Anna died, and she had been there the day David brought Victoria home, 4 months after the funeral. Too soon, too fast. But grief made people do strange things. Maria understood that. What she did not understand was this. Saturday morning, Maria was preparing breakfast in the kitchen. Eggs, toast, fresh fruit, orange juice, the same breakfast she had made every Saturday for 15 years. She heard a sound, a soft rustling, turned and saw Emma standing near the pantry door. The child was so thin now, so pale. Her clothes hung loose on her frame. The navy sweater looked 2 sizes too big. "Good morning, mija," Maria said gently. Emma startled, looked up with wide eyes, guilty eyes. She was holding something in her hand, trying to hide it behind her back. Maria walked closer, slowly. "The way you approach a frightened animal. What do you have there, sweetheart?" Emma's hand trembled. She brought it forward, opened her palm. 3 crackers, stale, broken. The kind Maria had thrown away 2 days ago because they were past expiration. "I am sorry," Emma whispered. "I was hungry." The words landed in Maria's chest like stones. "I am sorry. I was hungry." An 8-year-old child apologizing for being hungry in a house full of food. Maria knelt down, eye level with Emma, looked at the child's face, really looked, and saw what she had been trying not to see for weeks. Hollow cheeks, dark circles under the eyes, lips dry and cracked, skin that had lost its color, hair that had started to thin. This was not grief. This was not a phase. This was starvation. "When did you last eat a real meal?" Maria asked quietly. Emma thought about it, counted on her fingers. "I do not remember," she finally said. Maria's heart broke, clean in half. She had seen poverty in El Salvador, had seen children go hungry, but this was different. This was deliberate. This was a choice someone was making. She thought of her own granddaughter, Maria Jose, same age as Emma, 8 years old, living in San Salvador with Maria's daughter, waiting for the day Maria could bring them to America. If someone treated Maria Jose this way, Maria would burn the world down. "Come," she said to Emma. "Sit." Emma shook her head. "I'm not supposed to be in the kitchen. Victoria says I get in the way." "Victoria is not here," Maria said. "She took shopping with Claire. They will not be back for 2 hours. Sit." Emma hesitated, then climbed onto a stool at the kitchen island, watched Maria with careful eyes, waiting for the punishment that always came. Maria made scrambled eggs, toast with butter, fresh strawberries, a full glass of orange juice. She placed it all in front of Emma. "Eat," she said, "all of it." Emma stared at the food like it might disappear, like it was a mirage, a trick. "It is okay," Maria said. "I will watch the door. You are safe." Emma picked up the fork. Her hand shook. She took a bite of eggs, chewed slowly, swallowed, took another bite, and another. She ate like someone who had forgotten how, like someone who had been trained to expect the plate to be taken away at any moment. Maria watched, kept an eye on the driveway, listened for the sound of Victoria's car. Emma finished everything, drank the orange juice, looked up at Maria with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Maria came around the island, pulled Emma into a hug. The child was so small, so fragile, like holding a bird. "You do not have to thank me for food, mija. Food is not a prize, it is a right." Emma said nothing, just held on. Held on like Maria was the only solid thing in a world that kept shifting beneath her feet. Maria thought about the phone number in her pocket, the number she had found in David's office 3 days ago, his private cell, the one he gave to family, the one that was not connected to his assistant or his secretary. She had not called yet, had told herself it was not her place, had told herself she might be wrong, had told herself that rich people raised children differently. But now, holding this child who weighed less than she should, who ate stale crackers from the trash, who apologized for being hungry, Maria knew the truth. This was not different parenting. This was abuse. She pulled back, looked at Emma's face, made a decision. "I need to tell you something," Maria said, "and I need you to be brave." Emma nodded. "Your papa, he loves you very much. You know this, yes?" Emma nodded again, but her eyes said something different. "If he loves me, why does he not see what is happening?" "He is away too much," Maria continued. "He does not know what happens here, but I think he should know. Do you understand?" Emma's eyes went wide. Fear flooded in. "No," she said. "Please do not tell him. Victoria says if I complain, if I make trouble, she will send me away to boarding school, and I will never see anyone again." Maria felt rage build in her chest. Hot, fierce. This woman had not just starved a child, she had terrorized her into silence. "Listen to me," Maria said, gripping Emma's shoulders gently. "That is a lie. Your papa would never send you away, never. But he needs to know the truth, and I am going to tell him." "No," Emma said again. She was crying now. "Please, I will be better. I will try harder, I promise. Just please do not tell." The front door opened. Footsteps in the hallway. Victoria's voice calling out, "Maria, are you here?" Maria moved fast, grabbed Emma's plate, rinsed it in the sink, dried it. Put it away, wiped the counter. Emma slid off the stool and ran toward the back stairs, disappeared like smoke. Victoria entered the kitchen, looked around with sharp eyes, suspicious eyes. "I thought I heard voices," she said. "Just the television," Maria lied. "I was watching the news while I cleaned." Victoria's gaze lingered, searched, then moved on. "I need you to prepare lunch," she said. "We have guests coming at 1. "Yes, ma'am," Maria said. Victoria left. Maria stood at the sink, hands shaking, and made another decision. She would call David, tonight. After everyone was asleep, she would tell him everything, and if he did not believe her, she would find someone who would. That child was not going to disappear. Not on Maria's watch. Ethan Harrison was 12 years old and already knew how to disappear in plain sight. His mother had taught him, not with words, with expectations, with schedules, with the quiet pressure of perfection that sat on his shoulders like a weight he could never put down. His phone buzzed, a reminder. Piano practice in 15 minutes. After that, math tutoring, then French lessons, then homework, then dinner, then more homework, then bed. The same schedule every day, 7 days a week, no breaks, no variations, no room to breathe. His mother said it was for his own good, said Harvard would not accept anything less than excellence. Said the world rewarded those who worked hardest. Ethan did not want to go to Harvard. He wanted to play basketball, but basketball was not on the schedule. Basketball was not part of the plan. He stood in the hallway on the 2nd floor, looking down at the foyer below, watching Emma cross from the dining room to the kitchen stairs. Again, always banished, always alone. He had noticed the changes over the past 3 months. How Emma got quieter, thinner. How she moved through the house like she was trying not to exist. How she flinched when their mother spoke. How she never sat at the table anymore. At first, Ethan told himself it was not his problem. Emma was not his real sister. His mother was trying her best. Blended families were complicated. Everyone said so, but then he started paying attention, really paying attention. And what he saw made his stomach turn. The disappeared chair, the untouched plate, the impossible lists of chores, the punishments for infractions that were not infractions at all. The way his mother smiled at dinner parties and then turned cold the moment the guests left. Ethan had his own experience with that coldness. The tracking app on his phone that reported his location every 60 seconds, the scheduled check-ins, the surprise inspections of his room, the way praise was always conditional, always contingent on performance, always out of reach. But Emma had it worse. So much worse. At least Ethan was fed. At least he had a chair. He made a decision. Saturday evening, his mother was hosting another charity event downstairs. 40 people catered food. The house would be chaos for hours. No one would notice him. No one ever noticed him unless he broke a rule. He waited until the noise from the party reached its peak. Then he walked to Emma's room. Knocked softly. The door was open. It was always open. Privacy was forbidden. Emma was sitting on her bed, knees pulled to her chest. She looked up when he entered. Surprise in her eyes. Ethan never came to her room. They barely spoke. He closed the door just an inch. Enough to create the illusion of privacy. "I brought you something," he said. He pulled a granola bar from his pocket, placed it on her desk. Emma stared at it like it might explode. "You need to eat," Ethan said. "I know she is not feeding you." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You could get in trouble." "I am already in trouble," Ethan said. "Just different trouble." He sat on the edge of her bed, kept his distance, tried to look unthreatening, tried to be the big brother he had never learned how to be. "Listen," he said. "I know what she does to you. I see it, and it is not right." Emma wiped her eyes. "You cannot help me. No one can. Dad can," Ethan said. "If he knew, if someone told him." Emma shook her head. "Victoria says he will not believe me. Says I am a troubled child. Says she has proof." "What proof?" Emma pointed to the open door. Her room was visible from the hallway. Anyone could walk past. Anyone could look in. Anyone could watch. "She tracks everything," Emma said. "Writes it all down. Every mistake, every rule I break. She says if I tell Dad, she will show him the notebook. Prove I am lying." Ethan felt sick. He knew about the notebook, had seen his mother writing in it, had assumed it was a journal, a to-do list, not a ledger of an 8-year-old's alleged crimes. He pulled out his own phone, showed Emma the screen, a tracking app, green dot showing his exact location, 2nd floor, Emma's room. She does the same to me, he said. Different method, same control. Emma looked at the screen, then at Ethan. Understanding passed between them. 2 prisoners in the same house, 2 different cells, same warden. Dad is coming home Tuesday, Ethan said. I heard her on the phone with him. He will be here for dinner. That is your chance. Our chance. To do what? To show him, Ethan said. To tell him, together. She cannot call both of us liars. Emma pulled her knees closer. I am scared. Me too, Ethan said, but I am more scared of what happens if we do nothing. He stood, walked to the door, paused. Eat the granola bar, he said. Hide the wrapper, and do not give up. Not yet. He left before Emma could respond, walked back to his room, closed the door, sat at his desk. His phone buzzed. A reminder. Homework. Always homework. But for the first time in months, Ethan did not open his textbook. He opened a notes app instead, started writing. Everything he had seen, everything he knew, everything his mother had done. Evidence. In case Emma was too afraid to speak, in case his testimony was not enough, in case they needed proof. He wrote for an hour, 2 hours, filled 3 pages, then he saved it, password protected, backed it up to a cloud account his mother did not know existed, insurance. Against a woman who had turned control into an art form, against a system that protected appearances over truth, against the silence that had let this happen for too long, Tuesday would come. His father would arrive, and Ethan would be ready. He looked at his phone. The green dot still showing his location, still tracking, still watching. He turned off the app. For the first time in a year, he went dark, offline, invisible. It felt like freedom. It felt like rebellion. It felt like hope. Sunday afternoon. The living room smelled of Earl Grey tea and lavender. Expensive candles burning on the mantelpiece. Soft classical music playing from hidden speakers. Everything designed to project sophistication, refinement, control. Victoria sat in the high-backed chair near the window, sunlight streaming through the gauze curtains behind her. She wore a cream-colored dress, pearl earrings, her hair pulled into a flawless chignon, the picture of elegance. 4 women sat across from her. Neighbors, friends from the country club, women who lunched and volunteered and lived in houses just like this one, women who believed appearances told the whole story. Emma stood in the corner, hands folded, eyes down, silent. Her job was simple: serve tea when asked, refill cups, remove empty plates, stand perfectly still the rest of the time, be seen but not heard, exist as proof of Victoria's charitable nature. Look how well she treats her stepdaughter. Look how obedient the child is. Emma's legs ached from standing. She had been there for 90 minutes. No breaks, no sitting, just standing, waiting, hoping she would not make a mistake. The conversation drifted from gardening to travel to the challenges of modern parenting. Victoria guided it there, expertly, like a conductor leading an orchestra. Children today are so entitled, one woman said. They expect everything handed to them. Victoria nodded, sipped her tea, set the cup down with precise delicacy. Entitlement is an epidemic, she said. Her voice was calm, measured, the voice of someone who had studied this, who had credentials, who knew better than everyone else. My research at Yale focused on behavioral modification in children, Victoria continued. The data is quite clear. Reward without effort creates dependency. Structure creates success. Discipline builds character. The women leaned forward, interested. Victoria had a PhD. Victoria had published papers. Victoria knew what she was talking about. The key, Victoria said, is contingent reinforcement. Children must earn privileges, earn affection, earn their place in the family structure. One woman glanced at Emma. The child looked so small in the corner, so still, almost statue-like. And how do you implement that here? The woman asked. Victoria smiled, warm, practiced, the smile she used when she wanted to appear nurturing. Emma is learning delayed gratification, she said. She gestured toward the child without looking at her. Emma, dear, would you pour more tea for Mrs. Patterson? Emma moved immediately, picked up the teapot with both hands. It was heavy. Her arms trembled slightly. She approached Mrs. Patterson's cup, began to pour. The tea splashed, just a drop, onto the saucer, barely noticeable. Victoria saw it. Of course she saw it. "Emma," she said softly. "Control." Emma's hand steadied. She finished pouring, returned the teapot to the table, went back to her corner. Her heart hammered. One drop, one mistake. She counted the consequences in her head. No dinner tonight, extra chores tomorrow, another mark in the notebook. Mrs. Patterson was 72 years old, retired schoolteacher, 35 years in elementary education. She had seen thousands of children, knew the difference between discipline and something else, something darker. She watched Emma return to the corner, watched the child's shoulders hunch, watched the way she made herself smaller, invisible. "Victoria," Mrs. Patterson said carefully. "The child looks unwell." Victoria's smile did not falter. "Growth spurt. You know how children are. 1 month they eat everything in sight, the next they barely touch their food. Has she seen a doctor?" "Of course. Just last month. Clean bill of health. A lie. Smooth, confident, delivered with the ease of someone who had practiced." Mrs. Patterson sipped her tea, said nothing more, but her eyes stayed on Emma, watching, documenting. A teacher's instinct that never fully retired. The conversation moved on. Victoria spoke about her book, the one she was writing about evidence-based parenting, about how modern children needed structure, boundaries, consequences. "They need to learn that the world does not revolve around them," Victoria said. "That love is something you earn through good behavior. That disappointment builds resilience." The words sounded reasonable, scientific, like something you might read in a parenting journal. But Mrs. Patterson heard something underneath. A coldness, a detachment, the kind of language people used when they forgot they were talking about human beings. She looked at Emma again. The child had not moved, had not spoken, had barely blinked. She stood there like a soldier at attention, or a prisoner awaiting orders. Mrs. Patterson made a mental note, then another, and another. When the tea party ended, when the women gathered their purses and said their goodbyes, Mrs. Patterson lingered, waited until the others had left. "Victoria," she said quietly, "if you ever need support, resources, someone to talk to about the challenges of blended families, please let me know." Victoria's smile was ice. "How kind. But we are managing beautifully." "I am sure you are," Mrs. Patterson said. She looked past Victoria, to the corner where Emma still stood, still waiting for permission to move. Their eyes met, just for a second. Emma's wide, desperate, pleading. Mrs. Patterson steady, knowing, seeing. Then Victoria stepped into the sight line, blocking the view. "Thank you for coming," she said, a dismissal dressed as politeness. Mrs. Patterson left, walked to her car, sat in the driver's seat, did not start the engine, just sat there, thinking, remembering, comparing what she had seen to patterns she had witnessed before. Child abuse came in many forms. Bruises were easy to identify, broken bones showed up on X-rays, but emotional abuse was harder, more insidious. It left scars you could not see, damage you could not measure, until it was too late. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through her contacts, found a name. Maria Santos, the housekeeper. They had spoken a few times at neighborhood gatherings. Maria seemed kind, observant, someone who might know the truth. Mrs. Patterson typed a message, short, careful, not accusatory, just concerned. "This is Mrs. Patterson. I saw something at Victoria's tea party. We need to talk about Emma." She hit send, waited. 3 minutes later, her phone buzzed. A reply. "Yes, tomorrow morning. Park, 7 a.m. Mrs. Patterson started her car, drove home. Spent the rest of the evening thinking about a little girl who stood in corners, who poured tea with shaking hands, who looked like she was slowly disappearing. She had been a mandatory reporter for 35 years. Even in retirement, that responsibility did not end. She knew what she had to do. The question was whether anyone would listen. Sunday night, 11:15. Maria sat on the edge of her bed in the small room off the kitchen, the room that had been hers for 15 years, the room where she had laughed and cried and prayed and hoped for a better future. Her phone glowed in the darkness, Mrs. Patterson's message still on the screen. "We need to talk about Emma." Maria's hands trembled. She had two choices: stay silent, keep her job, keep her visa, keep sending money to her daughter and grandchildren in El Salvador, protect herself, or speak up, risk everything, possibly lose everything, for a child who was not even hers. She thought about Maria Jose, her granddaughter, 8 years old, same age as Emma, living in San Salvador with Maria's daughter, waiting, hoping, counting the days until Abuela could bring them to America. If Maria Jose was being starved, being punished for existing, being erased slowly day by day, would Maria want someone to speak up or stay silent? The answer was obvious. Painful, but obvious. She opened her text messages, scrolled up, found the conversation from 3 days ago. The one where she had saved David Harrison's private number. The one she had found in his office. The emergency contact. The number only family was supposed to have. Her finger hovered over the call button, hesitated. What if he did not believe her? What if Victoria had already poisoned his mind? What if Maria ended up deported, blacklisted, unable to work, unable to help her family? What if Emma died? The thought hit her like cold water. What if this child, this small, fragile child, just stopped eating one day and never woke up? What if Maria had to live with that for the rest of her life? She stood, paced the small room, 3 steps to the window, 3 steps back. Her rosary hung on the wall, the one her mother had given her before she left El Salvador, before everything changed. Maria crossed herself, whispered a prayer. "Santa Maria, Madre de Dios, give me strength." She sat back down, picked up her phone, but she did not call David, not yet. First she needed evidence, proof. Something concrete that could not be dismissed or explained away. She thought about what she had seen, the disappeared chair, the hoarded bread, the lists, the punishments, the notebook, Victoria's cold precision, Emma's hollow eyes. Tomorrow she would talk to Mrs. Patterson. Compare notes, build a case. Then she would call David. Then she would tell him everything. She set an alarm for 6:30, early enough to meet Mrs. Patterson before the household woke. Before Victoria could notice her absence. Maria lay down, tried to sleep, failed, kept seeing Emma's face, kept hearing her small voice. "I am sorry. I was hungry." An 8-year-old child apologizing for hunger, in a house with 3 refrigerators, in a neighborhood where people threw away more food than Maria's family in El Salvador ate in a month. It was obscene. It was evil. And Maria would not let it continue. She thought about her visa, her job, her family, the money she sent home every month, the life she had built here over 15 years. Then she thought about Emma's mother, Anna, the kind woman who had treated Maria like family, who had invited her to birthday parties and holiday dinners, who had hugged her when Maria got her green card application approved. Anna would want someone to protect Emma. Anna would want someone to fight for her daughter, and Maria was the only one in a position to do it. She made a decision. Whatever happened, she would tell the truth. She would call David. She would do what was right, even if it cost her everything. At 6:45 Monday morning, Maria left the house, walked 3 blocks to Greenwich Park, found Mrs. Patterson sitting on a bench near the fountain. The older woman stood, extended her hand. They shook, formal, respectful. 2 women who barely knew each other but shared a common purpose. "Tell me what you have seen," Mrs. Patterson said. But first, Maria noticed the older woman's eyes. Red, puffy. "I had a student once," Mrs. Patterson began. 32 years ago. Sophie. She came to school hungry. I reported it. The parents were wealthy, had lawyers. Sophie stayed. She paused. 3 years later, Sophie died. Pneumonia. But 10-year-olds do not die of pneumonia unless something is very wrong. "I will not fail again," Mrs. Patterson said. "I am 72. No career to protect. If you lose your job, I will protect you. I have a lawyer. Savings. 32 years ago, I stood alone and lost. This time, we stand together. We win. Maria told her everything. The food restriction, the impossible chores, the kneeling, the disappeared chair, the tracking, the notebook, Emma's deterioration, the fear, the control, all of it. Mrs. Patterson listened, took notes in a small leather journal, asked questions, documented. When Maria finished, the older woman was quiet for a long moment. I taught for 35 years, Mrs. Patterson finally said. I have seen this before. Not often, but enough to recognize the pattern. This is systematic emotional abuse, possibly physical neglect. The child needs intervention. Will they believe us? Maria asked. She is rich, she has PhD, she has lawyers. They will believe evidence, Mrs. Patterson said. Do you have access to the house during the day? Yes, I clean, I cook, I am there all the time. Then document everything, photograph the lists, the notebook if you can find it, Emma's room, the empty chair, the food situation, everything. Can you do that? Maria nodded. Her heart pounded. This was real now, no going back. Mrs. Patterson reached into her purse, pulled out a business card. This is a family law attorney, a friend of mine. If you need protection, if Victoria retaliates, call this number. Pro bono, no charge. Maria took the card, tucked it into her pocket next to her rosary. When will you call the father, Mrs. Patterson asked. When I have proof, Maria said. When I have pictures, when I have enough that he cannot look away. Good, Mrs. Patterson said, because that child is running out of time. They parted ways. Maria walked back to the house. Let herself in through the kitchen door. The house was still quiet. Victoria was not awake yet. Emma was in her room. David was in Singapore, or Dubai, or somewhere far away where he could not see what was happening under his own roof. Maria went to her room, got her phone, made sure the camera was working. Then she began. She photographed the kitchen, the refrigerator full of food, the locked pantry, the chore list on the counter. 49 items. Impossible for any child, let alone one who was starving. She went upstairs, moved quietly. Emma's door was open as always. The child was asleep, or pretending to be. Maria did not disturb her, just photographed the room, the bare walls, the empty dresser, the lack of toys or books or anything that suggested a child lived there. She lifted the pillow, found the napkin, unfolded it carefully. 13 pieces of dried bread, hoarded, hidden, saved for emergencies that came every day. Maria photographed it. Her hands shook. Tears blurred her vision. But she kept going. She went to the dining room, photographed the table. 8 chairs, 7 in place, 1 missing, the gap where Emma should sit, the absence that screamed louder than words. She found Victoria's office, locked. But Maria had keys. She had cleaned this room for 15 years, had access to everything. She unlocked the door, went inside, found the desk, searched the drawers, found the notebook, black leather, expensive, filled with Victoria's perfect handwriting. Dates, times, infractions, punishments, a ledger of cruelty. November 3rd, Emma spoke without permission. No dinner. November 7th, Emma moved too slowly. Additional chores assigned. November 12th, Emma made eye contact during correction. Disrespectful. Kneeling punishment 2 hours. November 18th, Emma asked for second helping at breakfast. Entitled behavior, food privileges reduced. The entries went on, page after page. 3 months of documented abuse. Victoria had not just hurt this child, she had recorded it, organized it, treated it like a research project. Maria photographed every page. 37 pages, 37 pieces of evidence. Her phone storage filled. She did not care. She kept shooting. Maria was about to close the notebook when something fell out. A photograph, old, faded, tucked between the last page and the back cover. She picked it up, turned it over in the dim light from her phone. A girl, maybe 10 years old, standing rigid against a wall. Thin, pale, eyes hollow. The same look Emma had now. Maria's hands trembled. She flipped the photo over. Handwriting on the back, faded blue ink. Victoria Sterling, age 10, February 1987. The resemblance was unmistakable. The same high cheekbones, the same sharp features, but the eyes were different. This child's eyes held something Emma's did not. Rage, buried deep, waiting. Maria set the photo aside, turned to the very first page of the notebook, the one she had skipped. Not dated like the others, just words, a quote, underlined 3 times. Those who were made powerless will ensure others feel the same. Control is the only antidote to chaos. Below it, in smaller writing, Father was right about one thing. Discipline builds character. He built mine. Now I build theirs. Maria's breath caught. She understood now. Victoria was not creating a parenting method. She was recreating her childhood. The notebook was not research. It was revenge. Against a past she could not change. Against children who reminded her of what she had lost. Emma's crime was not disobedience. It was happiness. It was having a mother who loved her freely. It was everything Victoria never had. Maria photographed the quote, photographed the picture, evidence of a cycle that should have ended a generation ago. She heard footsteps above, louder now, coming toward the stairs. Maria moved fast, slipped the photo back into the notebook, exactly where she found it, closed the leather cover, returned it to the drawer, locked the office. She understood something now that made this even worse. Victoria knew what she was doing, had lived it, had survived it, and chosen to inflict it anyway, not because she did not know better, but because she did. A sound from upstairs. Footsteps. Victoria was awake. Maria closed the notebook, put it back exactly where she found it, locked the office door, moved quickly to the kitchen, started preparing breakfast. Her heart hammered. Her hands still shook, but she had done it. She had the evidence. Now she just needed the courage to use it. Monday evening, Emma was washing dishes, her hands red and raw from hot water. Her back ached from standing. She had been cleaning since 6 that morning. 15 hours. 1 piece of toast for breakfast. Nothing since. Victoria entered the kitchen. Emma froze, waited, counted her heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. Emma, Victoria said. Her voice was different, lighter, almost kind. Emma turned. Yes, ma'am. Tomorrow night, Victoria said, we are having a family dinner, a proper one. You will join us at the table. The words did not make sense. Emma replayed them in her head. You will join us at the table. I will? She whispered. Yes, Victoria said. You have been working very hard lately, showing improvement. I think you have earned it. Earned it. The 2 words Emma had been chasing for months. The 2 words that always stayed just out of reach. And now Victoria was saying she had earned it. Hope exploded in Emma's chest. Bright, painful, overwhelming. Thank you, she said. Her voice cracked. Thank you so much. Victoria smiled. Yeah. Not the cold smile, not the practiced one, something that almost looked genuine. Dinner is at 6:30, she said. Wear something nice. And Emma, yes ma'am, do not disappoint me. Victoria left. Emma stood at the sink, alone, shaking. Was this real? Was this actually happening? She went upstairs to her room, looked through her closet. Most of her clothes were too big now, hung loose on her shrinking frame. But she found a dress, navy blue, the one her mother had bought her last year. For a piano recital that never happened because Anna died 2 days before. Emma held the dress against her body, looked at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the girl staring back. Hollow cheeks, dark circles, lips cracked from dehydration, hair limp and dull. But tomorrow she would sit at the table. Tomorrow she would be part of the family again. Tomorrow she would prove she was good enough. She hung the dress on the outside of the closet, where she could see it, a reminder, a promise. A beacon of hope in 3 months of darkness. That night, Emma did not eat the bread hidden under her pillow. She wanted to be hungry for dinner tomorrow, wanted to appreciate every bite, wanted to show Victoria she could be grateful, polite, deserving. She lay in bed and imagined it, the chair pulled out, the plate full, the conversation flowing, being seen, being included, being enough. For the first time in 93 days, Emma fell asleep smiling. Tuesday morning, Emma woke at 5, could not sleep, too excited, too nervous, too hopeful. She made her bed with extra care. Hospital corners perfect, blankets smooth as glass. She cleaned her room even though it was already clean, dusted surfaces that had no dust, straightened books that were already straight. She wanted everything perfect, wanted Victoria to see how hard she was trying, wanted to prove she deserved the chair, the plate, the place at the table. Victoria gave her the daily list at 6:30, 42 items. Emma read it 3 times, memorized every task, started immediately. She worked without stopping, without eating, without drinking, just moving from task to task, checking them off in her mind. 1, 2, 3, 42. At 2 in the afternoon, she finished. Every item complete, every surface clean, every object in its place, perfect. She found Victoria in the study, reading, a cup of tea on the side table. "I finished the list," Emma said quietly. Victoria looked up, raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Yes, ma'am. Everything is done." Victoria stood, walked through the house, inspected Emma's work, ran fingers along baseboards, checked corners, examined windows, looking for flaws, for mistakes, for reasons to withhold what she had promised. Emma followed 3 steps behind, holding her breath. "Please let it be good enough. Please." Victoria returned to the study, sat down, picked up her tea. "Acceptable," she said. Emma's heart soared. Acceptable. Good enough. She had done it. "Go get ready for dinner," Victoria said. "We eat at 6:30 sharp. Do not be late." Emma ran upstairs, drew a bath, the first real bath in weeks, hot water, soap. She scrubbed her skin until it was pink, washed her hair twice, wanted to be clean, fresh, presentable. She dried off, put on the navy dress. It hung loose, too loose, but it was the best she had. She brushed her hair. 100 strokes. The way her mother had taught her, made herself as pretty as she could with what little she had left. At 6:15, she went downstairs. The dining room was set. 8 places, 8 chairs, one for her at the end of the table between Ethan and Claire, her chair, waiting, real solid. There, Emma stood in the doorway, looked at it, felt tears threaten. She blinked them away. Crying would ruin everything. Victoria appeared, looked Emma up and down, frowned slightly. "That dress is too big," she said. "It is all I have that is nice," Emma replied softly. Victoria sighed. "I suppose it will have to do. Go wait in the kitchen. We will call you when it is time." Emma's smile faltered. "Wait in the kitchen?" "Yes," Victoria said. "The adults need to discuss something first. You will join us for the main course." "Oh," Emma said. "Okay." She went to the kitchen, sat on a stool, waited, listened to voices in the dining room, heard chairs scraping, heard laughter, heard the clinking of silverware. Minutes passed. 10, 20, 30. Emma's stomach growled. She pressed her hand against it, silencing it. Soon she would eat. 40 minutes, 50. The kitchen door opened. Victoria stood there, plate in hand. A small portion, vegetables, no protein, no starch. "Here," Victoria said, "eat this quickly, then you may join us for dessert." Emma stared at the plate. This was dinner? This was what she had earned? "But you said," Emma started. "I said you would join us at the table," Victoria interrupted. "I did not specify when, or for how long, or what you would eat." Understanding crashed over Emma like cold water. This was never real. The invitation, the chair, the hope, all of it was a test, a game, a way to teach her that hope itself was dangerous. "Eat," Victoria commanded. "You have 5 minutes." She left. The door swung closed. Emma looked down at the plate. Steamed broccoli, carrots, plain, unseasoned, cold. She picked up a fork, took a bite, chewed, swallowed. It tasted like ash, like disappointment, like the death of hope. She heard laughter from the dining room, heard someone say how delicious everything was, heard Claire's voice asking for seconds. Emma set down her fork, could not eat, could not breathe, could not think. The room tilted, spun. She gripped the counter, tried to steady herself, but her legs would not hold. Her vision blurred. White spots danced at the edges. She took a step toward the door. Her knee buckled. She grabbed for the counter, missed, fell. Her shoulder hit the floor first, then her head, a dull crack. Pain bloomed. Then nothing, just darkness, and the sound of laughter from the other room, getting further away, fading, gone. Maria found Emma on the kitchen floor at 7:15, unconscious. pale as death, a small pool of blood where her head had struck the tile. She dropped the laundry basket, ran to the child, knelt beside her, checked for breathing. Shallow, too shallow, checked for pulse. Weak, too weak. Emma, she said. Mija, wake up, please wake up. No response. Maria looked toward the dining room, heard voices, laughter. They had not even noticed, had not even checked on her. Rage flooded through Maria's veins. Hot, pure, righteous. She pulled out her phone, dialed 911. No, wait, if she called an ambulance, Victoria would spin it, would create a narrative, would blame Emma, would make this disappear. She needed David first, needed him to see this, needed him to witness what his wife had done. Maria canceled the call, dialed David's private number instead. Her hands shook. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Pick up, please pick up. On the 4th ring, a man's voice. Tired, professional. Grant. Mr. Harrison, Maria said. Her voice broke. This is Maria, from the house. A pause. Maria, is everything okay? It is late there. No, sir. No, okay. Is about Miss Emma. She heard him sit up, heard the rustle of sheets, heard his full attention snap into focus. What happened? Is she hurt? Maria looked down at the child on the floor, blood matting her hair, unconscious, barely breathing. She collapsed, sir. She on the floor. She not wake up. Did you call an ambulance? No, sir. I call you first because you need to know. You need to see. See what? What Mrs. Victoria do to her. What she been doing for months. Maria's voice grew stronger. The fear transformed into purpose, into testimony, into truth. Mr. Harrison, she said, your daughter is starving. She weigh 52 pounds. 8-year-old should be 60, Mrs. Victoria, she take away Emma's chair, make her eat on stairs, give her 1 piece of bread, make her kneel facing wall for hours. Punish her for everything, for nothing, for existing. The silence on the other end was absolute. Maria kept talking. Could not stop now. Had to get it all out. She have notebook, Maria continued. Track every little thing Emma do. Write down every punishment. Yesterday Emma finish all chores, 42 chores. Victoria say she can eat at table. Say she earn it. But then she make Emma wait in kitchen. Give her vegetables only, cold vegetables. Then Emma collapse. Because she's starving, Mr. Harrison. She dying in your house and nobody see it but me. David's breathing was ragged. Where is Victoria now? In dining room, with guests, eating dinner, laughing, like nothing happened. Another pause, longer this time. When David spoke again, his voice had changed, harder, colder, controlled fury. Is Emma breathing? Yes, but barely. Listen to me very carefully, David said. Do not call Victoria. Do not tell her you called me. Get Emma somewhere safe. Your room. Anywhere Victoria will not look. Watch her. If she stops breathing, you call 911 immediately, understand? Yes, sir. I am catching the first flight out. I am in London right now. Earliest I can be there is 6 a.m. tomorrow. Can you keep her safe until then? Maria looked down at Emma. So small, so fragile, so broken. Yes, sir, I keep her safe. Maria, David said, his voice cracked. Thank you for calling. Thank you for seeing her. She is good girl, Mr. Harrison. She deserve better than this. I know, David said, and she is going to get it. I promise. The line went dead. Maria pocketed her phone, gently lifted Emma into her arms. The child weighed nothing, literally nothing, like holding air, like holding a ghost. She carried Emma to her room, laid her on the bed, cleaned the blood from her hair. The wound was not deep. Head wounds bled a lot even when they were minor. But Emma needed a hospital, needed fluids, needed food, needed help tomorrow. When David arrived, tonight Maria would keep watch. She pulled a chair beside the bed, sat down, took Emma's small hand in hers, so cold, so thin, bones and skin and nothing else. Maria prayed, harder than she had ever prayed for this child to make it through the night, prayed for David to get here in time, prayed for justice, for protection, for mercy. At 8:30, Victoria knocked on Maria's door. Have you seen Emma? She asked. Cool, unconcerned. No, ma'am, Maria lied. Last I see her, she in kitchen. Well, if you see her, tell her she missed dessert, another privilege lost. Victoria walked away, her heels clicking on the hardwood, precise, measured, the sound of someone who had everything under control, but not for long, not anymore. Maria looked at Emma's face, peaceful in unconsciousness, unaware of the war being waged around her, for her. "Hold on, mija," Maria whispered. "Your papa is coming, just hold on." Outside, the moon rose over Greenwich, silver light spilling through the window. Tomorrow would bring reckoning. Tomorrow would bring truth. Tomorrow would bring an end to the cruelty that had poisoned this house. Maria would make sure of it, even if it cost her everything she had. Some things were worth losing everything for. And this child, this innocent, broken child, was one of them. Maria did not sleep. She sat in the chair beside her bed, watching Emma breathe. In, out, each breath a small victory. Each moment the child stayed alive was another moment closer to David's arrival. The house settled into silence around them. The dinner party ended at 10. Guests left, doors closed, footsteps faded. Victoria went to her room, Ethan to his, Claire to hers. The house exhaled into darkness. Only Maria remained awake, vigilant, counting Emma's breaths the way Emma counted everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4. At midnight, Emma stirred. A small sound escaped her lips. Her eyelids fluttered but did not open. Maria leaned forward, squeezed her hand. "I am here, mija. You are safe." Emma's fingers twitched. A response, small but real. She was still in there, still fighting. Maria dampened a cloth with cool water, pressed it gently to Emma's forehead. The child's skin was too warm. Fever building. The body's response to trauma, to starvation, to everything it had endured. At 2 in the morning, Maria's phone buzzed. A text from David. "Boarding now. Landing at 5:45 a.m. Do not let Victoria see her before I get there." Maria replied immediately. "She is safe. Hurry." The hours crawled. Maria watched the clock, watched Emma, watched the door, half expecting Victoria to appear, to demand answers, to take control the way she always did, but Victoria did not come. Why would she? In her mind, Emma was just another disobedient child who had missed dessert, another entry in the notebook, another mark against a girl who could never earn enough points to matter. At 4:30, the sky began to lighten, gray dawn creeping through the curtains. Maria stood, stretched her cramped muscles. Her back ached. Her eyes burned, but she did not leave Emma's side. At 5, Emma's eyes opened, confused, unfocused. She looked around the unfamiliar room, tried to sit up, fell back against the pillow. "Where am I?" she whispered. "My room," Maria said gently. "You fainted. Hit your head. I bring you here to rest." Emma's hand went to her head, touched the tender spot where she had struck the floor, winced. "Victoria," she said. "She will be angry. I missed dessert." "No, mija. You rest. Your papa is coming." Emma's eyes widened. "Daddy? He is coming home?" "Yes, today, this morning, very soon." Tears filled Emma's eyes. "He cannot see me like this. He will think I am weak. Victoria says weakness is unacceptable." Maria knelt beside the bed, took both of Emma's hands in hers. "Listen to me," she said firmly. "You are not weak. You are strongest person I know. You survived 3 months of cruelty. You still breathing, still here. That is not weakness, that is courage." Emma shook her head. "I just want to be good enough." "You already are," Maria said. "You always were. Victoria is the one who is not good enough. Not you. Never you." The words hung in the air. Truth spoken plainly, simply. A child psychologist with a PhD had spent 3 months trying to convince Emma she was worthless. Maria, a housekeeper with a 9th grade education, spent 1 minute reminding her she had value. Sometimes the truth was that simple. At 6:12 a.m., a black SUV pulled into the driveway. The engine cut, a door opened, closed, footsteps on gravel, fast, urgent, purposeful. Maria heard it from her room. She stood, smoothed her dress, prepared herself. This was it, The moment that would change everything, or change nothing. It all depended on what David saw, what he believed, what he chose to do. She heard the front door open. No knock, no hesitation. David Harrison walked into his own house like a man on a mission. "Where is she?" His voice carried through the foyer, loud, demanding, a tone Maria had never heard from him before. Footsteps above, Victoria's bedroom door opening. Her voice, sleepy, confused. "David? What are you doing here? Where is my daughter?" "She is asleep. It is 6 in the morning. What is this about? Where is she?" The roar shook the house. Maria opened her door, stepped into the hallway, made eye contact with David across the foyer. "She is here, Mr. Harrison, with me." David crossed the space in 4 long strides. Reached Maria's door, stopped, looked inside, saw Emma on the bed, small, pale, fragile. A bandage on her head where Maria had cleaned the wound. The air left his lungs in a rush. He stood frozen, staring, processing. His daughter looked like a stranger, like someone he had failed to protect, like someone he had left behind. Victoria appeared at the top of the stairs, wearing a silk robe, hair perfect even at this hour. She descended slowly, calmly, already constructing her defense. "David," she said softly, "I can explain." He did not look at her, could not look away from Emma. He entered Maria's room, knelt beside the bed, reached out with a shaking hand, touched Emma's face. "Baby girl," he whispered. Emma's eyes opened, focused on him, widened. "Daddy, I am here. I am so sorry. I am here now." Tears spilled down his cheeks. He did not try to hide them, did not care who saw. He had spent 3 months in boardrooms and airports and hotel rooms, chasing deals, building empires, while his daughter starved in his own house. Victoria stood in the doorway, watching, calculating, adjusting her strategy. "David," she said again, her voice reasonable, calm, the voice of someone in control. "Emma has been struggling. Grief from losing Anna. I have been working with her, trying to help." David stood, slowly, turned to face his wife. His expression was something Maria had never seen. Cold, harder than stone. Fury contained by the thinnest thread of control. "Help?" he said quietly. "You call this help?" "I have been implementing a structured behavioral program," Victoria said, "based on my research, evidence-based practices. Emma needed discipline, boundaries, consistent consequences. She weighs 52 pounds, David said, each word precise, clipped. An 8-year-old child weighs 52 pounds. In a house full of food, she has been resistant to eating," Victoria countered smoothly. "Oppositional behavior. I have documented everything. She refuses meals, hides food, classic signs of an eating disorder complicated by grief." "She hides food because you do not feed her," David said. "Maria told me everything, the disappeared chair, the starvation, the punishments, the notebook." Victoria's eyes flickered to Maria. "Just for a second, calculation, threat, you are going to regret this." But David stepped between them, blocking Victoria's line of sight, protecting Maria the way he should have been protecting Emma all along. "Show me," he said, "show me this notebook. Show me the evidence of her behavioral problems." Victoria hesitated, just a fraction of a second, but it was enough. David saw it, saw the crack in her perfect facade. "Now," he said. Victoria led them to her office, unlocked the door, went to her desk, pulled out the black leather notebook, handed it to David with confidence, as if the contents would vindicate her, prove her point, show him she had been right all along. David opened it, read the first entry. His jaw tightened. Read the second. His hands began to shake. Read the third, fourth, fifth. He read them all. Every page, every entry, every documented cruelty dressed up as discipline. When he finished, he closed the notebook, set it on the desk, looked at Victoria with an expression that could have frozen hell. "This is your evidence," he said. "This is your proof that she has behavioral problems?" "Yes," Victoria said. 3 months of documented defiance, resistance, manipulation. She asked for a second helping of breakfast, David read from the notebook. So you restricted her food privileges. She is 8 years old. She was hungry. That is not manipulation. That is biology. Children need to learn delayed gratification, Victoria said. My research clearly shows that excessive indulgence leads to entitlement and poor executive function development. Stop, David said. Stop hiding behind academic language. You starved my daughter. You psychologically tortured her. You documented it like a research project. I was trying to help her, Victoria insisted. She was spiraling after Anna's death. She needed structure, discipline, someone to set boundaries. She needed love, David said. Unconditional love, food, safety, a father who was present. And I failed her. But you weaponized her grief. You used her vulnerability to break her. He opened a desk drawer, started pulling out files. Found Emma's withdrawn school enrollment. Found emails Victoria had sent to the pediatrician canceling Emma's checkup appointments. Found receipts for locks installed on the pantry. Each piece of evidence another nail in the coffin of Victoria's defense. You isolated her, David said. Removed her from school so no one would see what you were doing. Canceled her doctor appointments so no one would weigh her. Locked food away so she could not feed herself. For her own good, Victoria said, but her voice had lost its confidence. The careful calm was cracking. She needed to learn self-control. David pulled out his phone, opened the photos Maria had sent him, turned the screen toward Victoria, made her look. The disappeared chair, the hoarded bread, the empty room, the lists, the evidence of systematic abuse. Does this look like help to you? He asked. Victoria's face changed, the mask slipping, anger flashing through. The real Victoria, the one who had tormented Emma for 3 months, the one who had enjoyed the power, the control, the ability to make someone small. She was too much like Anna, Victoria said. Too soft, too needy, too demanding of attention. Someone had to teach her that the world does not revolve around her. There it was, the truth. Emma's crime was not misbehavior. It was resembling her mother, being loved by her father, existing as a reminder of what Victoria could never replace. David's hands curled into fists. He breathed slowly, counting, controlling the rage that threatened to explode. Get out, he said quietly. What? Get out of this house. Now, pack a bag. You have 10 minutes. Then I am calling the police. You cannot do this, Victoria said. I am your wife. This is my home too. You abused my daughter, David said. That voids every contract, every vow, every right you thought you had. You are done here. I will fight you, Victoria said. I have lawyers. I have credentials. I have rights. So do I, David said. And I have evidence. And I have a child who nearly died on your watch. Get out before I do something I regret. Victoria stared at him, calculating one last time, weighing her options, measuring her leverage. She had none. She knew it. David knew it. The game was over. She left the office, walked upstairs. Maria heard her moving around, opening drawers, packing. 15 minutes later, she descended with a suitcase. She stopped at the front door, looked back at David one last time. I was trying to make her stronger, she said. You will see. I was right. No, David said. You were cruel. And there is a difference. Victoria walked out, got into her car, drove away. The house exhaled, the toxin removed, the poison drained, but the damage remained, the scars, the trauma, the child upstairs who still believed she had to earn love. That would take longer to heal. 2 hours later, a black Mercedes pulled into the driveway. A man in an expensive suit emerged, briefcase in hand. David opened the door. Mr. Harrison, I am Robert Chen. I represent Victoria Sterling Harrison. Emergency custody documents. He held out papers. David did not take them. Leave them on the porch, then leave. My client is filing for emergency custody. You enabled Emma's eating disorder through neglect. My daughter was starved. Mr. Chen opened his briefcase. According to Dr. Sterling's records, Emma has ARFID. Under psychiatric care 3 months, Dr. Sterling followed therapeutic protocols. Papers, medical records, official letterhead, signatures, forgeries, David said. Notarized documents, board-certified physicians. Dr. Morrison's affidavit confirms Emma refused to eat. Victoria had prepared, created a paper trail, drop charges if you agree, joint custody, supervised visitation for you. Emma returns to Dr. Morrison. Sign an NDA. Get out. Refusing means a public custody battle. Your daughter testifies repeatedly. Media coverage. No guarantee you win. David stepped forward. I have photographs of a starving child, a notebook documenting abuse, testimony from a mandatory reporter, hospital records showing malnutrition. He took the papers. Your client cannot forge a child's bones, cannot explain 51 pounds, cannot explain the disappeared chair, the locked pantry, the hidden bread. Tell Victoria she will lose her license, her reputation, her freedom. Every parent in Connecticut will know what she did. He handed them back. Get off my property. Mr. Chen nodded, left. David closed the door, hands shaking. He had doubted for a moment, then thought of Emma upstairs. Whatever came next, he would not back down. David sat beside Emma's bed, held her hand, did not speak for a long time, just looked at her, really looked, saw what he had missed, what he had been too busy to see, what Victoria had hidden. His daughter was disappearing, and he had let it happen. I am sorry, he finally said. His voice broke. I am so sorry, baby girl. For what? Emma asked, her voice small, confused. She did not understand what he was apologizing for. In her mind, she was the one who had failed. For not being here, David said. For not seeing, for not protecting you. You were working, Emma said. Victoria said you were very busy, that I should not bother you. You are never a bother, David said firmly. Never. You are my daughter. You are the most important thing in my life, and I should have shown you that. I should have been here. Emma looked down at their joined hands, his so large, hers so small, bones and skin and nothing else. Did I do something wrong? She asked. Is that why Victoria did not like me? David's breath caught, his hand stilled. When had her hands gotten so small? No, he said. No, sweetheart, you did nothing wrong. Nothing. This was not your fault. But I tried so hard, Emma whispered. I counted everything. I did all the chores. I stayed quiet. I tried to be good enough. But it was never enough. Because she did not want you to be good enough, David said gently. She wanted you to fail, so she could punish you, so she could control you. That was about her, not you. Emma shook her head. She said I was spoiled, that Mama loved me wrong, that I needed to earn things. David pulled Emma into his arms, carefully, afraid she might break. She was so light, so fragile. He could feel every rib, every vertebra, every bone. Your mama loved you exactly right, he said into her hair. Love is not something you earn, it is something you have, always, no matter what. Emma started to cry. Quiet tears at first, then sobs, deep, wrenching. 3 months of held pain pouring out. David held her, rocked her, let her cry, did not tell her to stop, did not tell her it was okay, because it was not okay. None of this was okay. I was so hungry, Emma sobbed, all the time, and I tried not to be. I tried to make the bread last, but it was never enough. I know, baby, I know. And the chair was gone, and I did not know why. I thought maybe I did not deserve to sit with everyone else. You deserve everything, David said. You deserve food and love and safety and a father who is here. And I am going to give you all of that, I promise. What about Victoria? Emma asked. Will she come back? No, David said firmly. Never. She is gone, and she is never coming near you again. Emma pulled back, looked up at her father with red eyes. But what if I was the problem? What if she was right? David cupped her face in his hands, looked directly into her eyes, spoke clearly, firmly, the way he should have spoken months ago. Listen to me, Emma. You are 8 years old. You are a child. Children need food. They need love. They need to be seen and heard and valued, not because they earn it, but because they exist, because they are human. You did nothing wrong. Do you understand me? Emma nodded slowly, but her eyes said she did not quite believe it yet. 3 months of conditioning could not be undone with one conversation. Healing would take time, but they had time now. David would make sure of it. The police came at 9 a.m. 2 officers, a woman and a man. They interviewed David. Maria took photographs, documented the evidence, called Child Protective Services. A social worker arrived at 11, a kind woman named Sarah Chen. She spoke to Emma alone. Gentle questions, careful observations. Emma told her everything. The disappeared chair, the hunger, the rules that changed, the notebook, all of it. Sarah Chen documented it all. Took more photographs, weighed Emma, 51 pounds. She had lost another pound in the past 24 hours. She needs to see a doctor, Sarah said to David. Today, malnutrition, dehydration, possible concussion from the fall. I am recommending immediate medical evaluation. David nodded. Whatever she needs. They went to Greenwich Hospital. Emma was admitted. IV fluids, blood tests, nutritional assessment. The doctors were horrified. Spoke in low voices about failure to thrive, about emotional abuse, about the fine line between intervention and criminal neglect. David sat beside Emma's hospital bed, held her hand, watched the fluids drip into her veins, each drop pulling her back from the edge, back to life, back to him. Ethan came to visit, brought flowers, sat on the other side of the bed, held Emma's other hand. I should have done more, he said. I should have stopped her sooner. You helped me, Emma said. You gave me the granola bar. You told me Dad was coming. That was enough. Ethan shook his head. It was not enough. But it is over now. She cannot hurt you anymore. What about you? Emma asked. She hurt you too. Different kind of hurt, Ethan said. But yeah, she did. And Dad and I are going to talk about that. About all of it. David looked at his stepson. Really looked. Saw the same exhaustion, the same weariness. Victoria had not starved Ethan, but she had suffocated him, controlled every moment, every choice, every breath. 2 children damaged by the same woman, 2 different methods, same cruelty. We are going to fix this, David said to both of them. All of it, whatever it takes, however long it takes. I am here now, and I am not leaving again. Emma stayed in the hospital for 4 days, slow refeeding, careful monitoring. Her body had to relearn how to process food. Too much too fast would cause refeeding syndrome, potentially fatal. So they started small. Broth, crackers, gentle foods in tiny portions, every 4 hours, monitored, measured, slowly building back what Victoria had taken away. David stayed with her, slept in the chair beside her bed, worked from his laptop when she slept, read to her when she was awake, was present, was finally, fully. On the 3rd day, Emma asked for French toast, the kind her mother used to make, with cinnamon and powdered sugar. The hospital kitchen made it. David cut it into small pieces, watched Emma take the first bite, watched her close her eyes, savor it, smile. It tastes like Mama, she said, David's vision blurred. Yeah, baby, it does. She ate 3 bites. Her stomach could not handle more yet, but those 3 bites were victory, were reclamation, were the first step toward healing. On the 5th day, Emma was discharged, strong enough to go home, still fragile, still healing, but alive, present, seen. Maria had prepared Emma's room, new bedding, soft pillows, a nightlight that cast stars on the ceiling, a basket of books, a stuffed animal that looked like the one Anna had given Emma years ago, the one Victoria had thrown away. Welcome home, mija, Maria said. Emma looked around the room at the care, the thought, the love woven into every detail. Thank you, she whispered, for everything, for saving me. You save yourself, Maria said. You survive. I just make the phone call. You made the hardest call, Emma said. You risked everything. Some things are worth the risk, Maria replied. That night, David tucked Emma into bed, sat beside her, held her hand until she fell asleep. Then he stayed, watched her breathe, counted her breaths the way she counted everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4. His daughter was alive, was home, was safe, but the fight was not over. Victoria had been charged. Child abuse, neglect, endangerment. A trial was coming. Testimony would be required. Emma would have to relive the trauma, tell strangers what had happened, prove the abuse was real. David had hired the best lawyers, the best therapists, the best support team money could buy, but money could not erase what Emma had endured, could not give her back the 3 months she had lost, could not undo the damage. Only time could do that. Time and love and consistency and presence. David was prepared to give her all of it, for as long as it took. June, summer sun streaming through the windows. The dining room table set for 4. David, Emma, Ethan, Maria. 8 chairs still, but 4 filled. The other 4 empty, waiting, hopeful, room for growth, for future, for possibility. Emma sat in her chair, the one that had been hers all along, the one Victoria had taken, the one David had returned. She wore a yellow dress, her hair was shiny again, her cheeks had color. She had gained 14 pounds, was up to 66, healthy, strong, alive. She still counted things, probably always would, but now she counted blessings too, real ones, present tense. 1. Dad reads to me every night. 2. Maria makes me French toast on Saturdays. 3. Ethan taught me to play basketball. 4. I have friends at my new school. 5. I am enough. The last one was hardest, still felt strange on her tongue. But her therapist said to practice, said eventually she would believe it. Emma was trying. Dinner was simple. Spaghetti, salad, garlic bread, nothing fancy, nothing designed to impress, just food, shared together. David served Emma first, a full plate. She ate half. Her stomach was still adjusting, still learning to trust that food would come again tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. When she finished, she set down her fork, looked around the table at the people who had saved her, who had fought for her, who had loved her even when she could not love herself. "Can I say something?" Emma asked. "Of course, sweetheart," David said. "I am grateful," Emma said, "for all of you, for being here, for not giving up on me." "We will never give up on you," Ethan said. "Never ever," Maria added. David reached across the table, took Emma's hand, squeezed it gently. "You are my daughter," he said, "my only daughter. And you are loved, not because you are perfect, not because you follow rules, not because you earn it, but because you are you. And that is always enough." Emma smiled, a real smile, full and bright and alive. "I know," she said. "I am starting to know." And that was enough. For now, for today, for this moment. Healing was not linear. There would be hard days ahead, nightmares, triggers, moments when the past crashed into the present. But there would also be good days, laughter, joy, moments when Emma remembered she was more than what Victoria had tried to make her. The trial had ended 3 weeks ago. Victoria pleaded guilty, avoided prison but received 5 years probation. Mandatory therapy, supervised visitation only with Claire, never allowed near Emma or Ethan again. It was not enough. Justice rarely was, but it was something. Acknowledgement, consequence, protection. Emma had testified, had stood in front of strangers and told her truth, had counted her breaths between sentences, had survived, just like she survived everything else. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Movie night, Emma's choice. She picked an old Disney film, the kind her mother used to watch with her, the kind that ended happy. She curled up on the couch between her father and Ethan. Maria sat in the armchair, knitting, present, part of the family now, officially. David had sponsored her citizenship, had given her a raise, had told her she was family, always had been. Halfway through the movie, Emma fell asleep, head on her father's shoulder, breathing even, peaceful. David did not move, did not want to disturb her, just held his daughter, felt her warmth, her weight, her presence. She was here, she was real, she was his, and he would spend the rest of his life making sure she knew it. Outside, the sun set over Greenwich, pink and orange streaking across the sky. Another day ending, another day survived, another day of healing. Tomorrow would come, with its own challenges, its own moments, its own small victories. But tonight, in this moment, Emma Harrison slept without fear, without hunger, without wondering if she was enough, because she was. She always had been. And finally, she was beginning to believe it. The invisible daughter had become visible. The disappeared chair had been reclaimed. The starving child had been fed, not just with food, but with love, unconditional, unearned, unwavering. The kind of love that did not need to be counted, did not need to be measured, did not need to be proven. It just was, and always would be, forever and always, enough.